Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Flipping Miami. I am your host, Raul Bolufe, and on the other side of the camera, on the other side of the show here, I have a very special guest, Jayce Graham, out of Texas. Good dude. Actually met in a mastermind, I want to say maybe 2.5-3 years ago, around there, 2 years ago. I met Jayce, and man, we're just talking, and you could tell this guy was sharp. He comes from a different industry, which I want to talk about here, about the oil, gas, space. And then he started doing wholesaling and raising money and buying houses and doing seller financing and all these kind of terms. And he was just different, man. He just had a different perspective about how to do the business and how to see it as a whole. And bro, I mean, we shot the shit at the airports, and we spent quite a bit of time. We're down here in Miami together a little while ago for a friend of ours' wedding. But anyways, man, without further ado, Jayce, bro, thank you for coming on.
Hey, Raul, no problem, man. I appreciate you having me. Excited to jump in on the podcast. Applaud you for all that you're doing on your front as well.
Yeah, I was just talking to Jayce right before we got on here, and I was like, we were trying to get it done earlier, but he was in like a ranch in the middle of Texas, like doing quarantine. Like I think that's the way quarantine was supposed to be made. You go to a ranch, you don't see a single soul.
That's how we did it. We shut the gates and just got loose. Got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and staying at home is just we were about to lose our cabeza. So we went down, got some land down in kind of central Texas, and just went down there. I had the Airstream, which is a little travel trailer set up as the headquarters, and we continue to do deals on the minerals and the real estate front.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about the minerals in a bit. So Jayce basically runs a fund that buys, from my understanding, buys minerals and oil, gas barrels and things of that nature, and then I think you hold it and maybe sell it, or you can probably get into that in a little bit. But before that, I want to back up a bit and go a little far. Jayce, if we would have met in high school, who was Jayce high school, man? Were you hyper? Were you a good student? Did you play sports? Did you get good grades? Like, who was Jayce if we would have met sophomore?
No, that's good, man. I was out. You and I would have been homeboys in high school for sure. High school, I had hair down to about here.
Like surfer type.
What's that?
Like surfer type hair and stuff?
A little bit, yeah, kind of surfer type hair. Back when I had hair, but no, man, I was I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. I always kind of had that entrepreneurial bone. Whether I was mowing yards as a kid, all the way into high school, where I actually built that up to have a couple of crews that were buddies of mine working for me, shining shoes, you name it. So. Kind of always was doing stuff, with, businesses and whatnot, kind of on a much smaller scale, but, played sports, ran track, played football. I was an outside linebacker, and, played a little football in college up at a school in the Northeast, and had a good time. But, it was, good times back then, good times right now, but yeah.
And Jayce, so I see you reminiscing over there.
Yeah.
Jayce, did you know when you were kind of like leaving high school? I know you played sports, you're playing football. You're probably like outgoing. You had a bunch of things going on. Did you know what you wanted to do with kind of like your career and stuff? Like, did you know like, all right, I want to get into oil and gas, or did you know I want to do business, or like, did you have a specific thing coming out, or did things kind of change?
Yeah. So, I mean, I knew, and I feel like, looking back on my life, like I always know exactly what I want to do. Now, has that changed over years? Yes. I've never kind of been one of those that's been like, what the hell do I want to do? I don't really know. Just kind of wandering through life aimlessly. I've always like, this is what I want to do. So in high school, I was mowing yards. I had a crew. I built up. I was like, I want to go into landscapes. So I went to college in landscape architecture. That kind of shifted. And I was like, kind of got into restaurants and, finished up my college academia, kind of more in that space, and came out of college managing a couple of high-end restaurants. Really didn't have an interest in the oil and gas business that my family was in until I was, out of college. my old man was active in that business, and didn't really, teach us or tell us a lot about it growing up. He was an alcoholic all the way until the year 2000, and then he shifted and went completely sober. So I didn't have a lot of conversations with my old man after work per se about the business, just because he was pretty drunk at that time. But it is what it is. I mean, he taught me a ton of information in the subsequent years when I actually went and worked with him, and we built up some of the mental side of our business before I eventually left and started my own. So,
gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So pretty much like you're coming out of college and you're like, okay, I want to get in the restaurant space, you said, right? And you kind of went for it. I remember we had a conversation. You said you worked at some pretty high level restaurants for a while. What was that like? Like transitioning from high school sports, college, fun and this and that to now like, oh crap, like I want to take this serious. I'm working at like some top tier places. What was that like? Was that easy for you? Because I mean, you come from a father who's kind of running his business and probably disciplined and doing his thing. But what about for Jayce? Was that like an easy transition? Was it hard for you? Did you, how was that?
Yeah, it never was like, it never felt hard. It always, like I said, I'm very focused on, I know what I want. I know what I want to do. And so I go do it. And I'd much rather live life that way than what do I do if I don't, I don't want any doubt, you know what I mean? So I go for it. I always equate it like, I'm the guy that will run into the building if it's on fire and be like, oh shit, this building's on fire, let's get out, versus like touching the knob. Like, is the knob hot? Is there smoke coming out? So that's good in some cases, not always good in others. But as far as the restaurant business, man, it was great. It was eye-opening to go work for a group. The group was called Houston's. It's now Hillstone. There's restaurants throughout the nation that these guys manage and run. Taught me everything I needed to know about how to run a restaurant effectively and efficiently with systems and process. And quite frankly, I still use that same kind of model to run the business that I'm in today. It was the first time I really saw it. I was like, wow, like everything had a plan, which had a backup plan, which had a backup plan. And the frontline managers who I was a part of, we kept kind of coaching and teaching our staff over and over and over and over and over the process or the SOP, right, on how to handle certain situations with our staff. And so I've kind of brought that now, all looking back through my entire career, even, when I left the restaurant business into the oil and gas business, and now with the oil and gas and real estate, that has never left. It's kind of ingrained in my mind, which is pretty cool, kind of going that route.
Yeah, if you've never eaten at Houston's or Hillstone, that's like top tier. And man, I remember there's a few here in South Florida, and if you've been there, if you're listening to this, you've been there. Next time you go, notice how the service is. Like those people, the systems in those restaurants it's machinery, man. It's like I imagine the things you learn there must stick with you. Like the managers, everyone's dressed with tea. All the girls have their hairs in buns. Like you got to be like legit. It's insane. I mean, I'm sure. What are some of like the big takeaways or lessons you learned from like being in there for a while, as far as like management and business and all?
Yeah, number one, know your numbers. Okay, know what that looks like. Each manager had a certain part of the restaurant, whether that was the bar or the kitchen or the wait staff, whatever that may be, and each manager had to know their numbers like to the T. I mean, if I was the bar manager, we were measuring how much foam came off the beer that went to waste. I mean, it went to that level. And so I got to see that, and I was like, shit, this makes sense on how to run a business. The other thing, it was like, they really go into the user experience, meaning the guests, what do the guests see, and anticipate, and how to anticipate what the next move of the guest is. An example of that is if you see a guest eating with their left hand and you're coming to drop maybe coffee at the end of the night, turn the spoon, think about it, turn the spoon so that they're using their left hand to pick it up. That level of detail. So I talk to my team now on the real estate front. whether it's my transactional coordinator, whether it's my ops manager, whether it's my acquisition team, anticipate the next move of, who you're talking to, so that we can create that great experience from start to finish on a lot of stuff that we're thinking about before they even think about it. And whether that's a buyer or a seller, kind of learning that from the restaurant business, I've carried over through my entire career.
I love it. That's gold, man. That's gold. That's like an awesome lesson and that's like a lesson I don't think you learn in business school. Man, it's something you got to learn from being on the field. I don't have a great degree or anything, but in school they don't really they teach you about numbers and tracking, but they don't teach you things like that. And that's beautiful to like learn, and now you implement it. Dude, Jay, so tell us a little bit, like what does your real estate business look like now, and then what does your oil, gas, and mineral business look like, and kind of share with us.
Yeah, so let's we'll fast forward up to like into 2015. Me and my old man we had a pretty bad fallout. The family business didn't work per se. I think we were just a lot alike, and we really didn't communicate well. And but anyways, opened up an opportunity for me to kind of go out and start Rising Phoenix. So I left, basically sold my house and pulled out as much equity as I could to start a business, man. I was scared shitless. Running a business, I mean, you still kind of run scared, bro. I mean, it never goes away, right? Because there's no backup net, so to speak. But we did that and started Rising Phoenix kind of going into 2016. I didn't know anything about real estate, didn't know anything about wholesaling. All I knew is how to kind of go out, maybe raise money and try to buy minerals. So it's kind of a one-trick pony. And in 2016, oil prices had kind of dipped down a little bit. And I was having a real hard time raising capital. Even though I was like, guys, this is the best time to buy when prices are down, buy low, sell high. I couldn't get many people to like really buy in on it because it was my first one. I didn't really have a track record. And so I told my wife, I was like, listen, we need more offensive weapons. We need more ways to generate income to put food on the damn table. And so she was like, yeah, you're right. And she was a realtor. She still is. She still has a real estate license. She never really uses it. But she was a realtor. And I was like, listen, this was the summer of 2016. I'll never forget it. I was like, I think we can buy real estate like we buy minerals. And she was like, huh? And I was like, well, in the mineral world, we send out little mailers and we put an offer price on them to buy their mineral interest. And I'm just going to turn it literally the same looking mailer. Instead of saying minerals, I'm going to buy your house for this dollar amount. And I didn't know really what wholesaling was at the time. And so I dropped 10,000 mailers into an area of Dallas where I felt that like it was a good buy area where I believe hedge funds would be buying in because it was kind of in that $100,000 to $200,000 price point. And I told my wife, I was like, listen, great news. We started the marketing campaign. Your phone number is on the mailer. All right. And she was like, what? And so she like scrambled to like get some class. I think she did like she did a Wholesaling Inc. Tom Kroll class.
Okay.
What it was. She had no idea that side of the business. So calls started coming in and, we inked up a couple deals. The first deal that we did, we didn't even go into the home. We locked it up. It was a tired landlord. They just got our offer. Time was right. Price was right. And we bought it and sold it, found a buyer online. And I was like, babe, we didn't even go into that house. What'd you think? She was like, that's pretty cool. And so we did it, a couple more times. And then I was like, we could scale this. So that was kind of the genesis going into 2017 with the real estate wholesale business.
Dude, that's so cool how you were able to, and I forgot who said it, but someone said, I think like the best ideas come from a different type of business. So it's kind of like what I'm getting at is you came from an oil, mineral, gas, how you raise money, how you find the things. You send a letter with a price for I guess the land with the minerals and stuff.
Yep.
And you did the same thing. And it's funny, I didn't really know that until yesterday when we were on a group call, and you showed us kind of like that mail piece, and it's so cool. I took a ton of notes on it, and it's basically what I saw was like a mail piece with a bunch of words, right? Like a good copywriting. But basically the gist of it is, we'll buy your house and there's a price already there. And Jayce basically hired VAs to, scrape Zillow or scrape realtor.com and get a percentage and put that. Dude, and for you to get that and put that together and it worked, it's like, you must have been feeling like top of the world. Like, all right, let's fucking go.
It was, I was like, this is actually kind of fun. And so then 2017, we started kind of building out a team. I started listening to these podcasts, Justin Colby, Sean Terry, Ken Clothier, all our homeboys now. And I started realizing like, oh man, I need to get a little more organized and kind of, divide this stuff up to divide and conquer. And so we kind of went into 2017. So that was like the first few deals we did was like Q4 2016. And then 2017, I think we did about 65 wholesale flips. Nice. 2018 did about the same. In 2019, we kind of transitioned from just the pure wholesale flip model to, raise some capital, and we're going in and we're buying homes, either cleaning them out, listing them as is, or doing light rehabs and putting them on the market with seller financing, which I like personally. But it took us a full year, 2019, to really kind of understand how that works and what, because we weren't doing rehabs before, and now we're jumping in and we had 10 rehabs going at one time. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not very good at this. And so kind of lessons learned and turning it. What's that?
That's some real stuff right there.
I'm not a big fan, by the way. It's just, I'd rather just double close all day long, brother.
And if you guys notice, Jayce, he's someone who doesn't stay busy at all, right? Like he goes from 0 rehabs to 10. He goes from no wholesale deals to 10,000 pieces of mail at once. And like, I'm not, it's like Jay said in the beginning, it might be a good and a bad quality, but what we're getting at is, dude, everyone comes from a different light, people have different kind of mental models and basically things that hold themselves back. But Jayce, you kind of just jump into it, man. Like, if you're listening to this and you have that similar personality to Jayce, you just like jump into it. Like, dude, this is something that can work, right? Like Jayce is a normal dude that just jumped into wholesaling. Yeah, he had a little bit of a business background with the restaurants and stuff. But dude, you didn't know anything about wholesale when you sent 10,000 pieces, right?
No, none at all. And I credit a lot to my wife too. She was, she's always like been supportive. But you're right, man. I mean, the biggest thing that I would say is like, get out of your fucking own head. You know what I mean? Like, get over it. Like, you're going to break some eggs. That's what I tell my team. Hey, listen, we're grading for the effort. You're going to break some eggs. If the effort's there and things happen that don't work, guess what? You learn the most from the experiences that don't go well, right? You learn the most from the losses versus the wins. And so, man, we charge hard. We go hard to the paint. But, and again, it's, there's give and go on that. And it's not always, it doesn't always work, but you learn. At least I know that shit didn't work unless it was in my head. Like, will it work? Will it work? What do the numbers look like? And that's why I tell my team, like, get out of who cares if the numbers work? Do you have a motivated seller? I don't give a shit about the rehab. I don't give I'll price off Zillow and Realtor.com. I don't need, all that. Just, so I think that's a big thing for most people that are maybe listening in on this that are kind of like, man, anybody can do this, bro. As you know, anybody can do this. You just have to literally be fearless and get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Love that. Jason, what are some like practical things that help you like just jump in and kind of be uncomfortable and be a little bit more fearless day in, day out? Because, and we were just talking that you're raising another $10 million for a fund. And, I'm sure when you raised your first round, you had no idea what you were doing. And then you kind of went in there and learned. And so like, how did you train yourself, or how did you kind of like gain the habits, or what are some of the habits? Like, really want to get at is like, what's some practical things that you do that helps you remain like fearless and be able to jump in and like go after what you want?
Yeah, man, no, great question. Right. I mean, kind of, how do you, come out like this? I mean, it wasn't always like this. There's times that all, you doubt yourself and all that. Yeah. So I think the biggest piece, right, is the mindset. And so how do you get the mindset right? And also it's a game of momentum. Okay. So one thing leads to another. You got to remember to get that flywheel moving, bro. It ain't easy, but once it gets moving, don't slow it down. So, I mean, like for mindset, and during this whole pandemic we've been going through, I've not been as like true to it as I was before that. So I'm just, full kimono. But, I think kind of having a morning routine and getting up and setting the tone, setting the foundation early into your day so that you can come out, charging hard. And you can come out knowing like I've done my, my morning routine, so to speak. And just what on mine, I read a little. There's a book called The Daily Stoic. It's great.
Oh yeah. I've heard about that.
Read the Bible. That's great too. Not anything from that, but I like to read this little passage from the Daily Stoic. It kind of sets me up to kind of think about, okay, cool. Then I'll do a 10-minute meditation with. There's a app on my phone that I use to do that called Headspace. Because I need guided meditation because God knows, like I can't sit there by myself and be like, figure this out. Like I need to walk me through it. I'll then do, I use what's called a bullet journal, which if you've never seen it, it's pretty cool. There's a whole book on it. So I kind of come in and I write, what are the big things that I'm grateful for right out of the chute. And then I talk about, I've got some power words that I type down: discipline, focus, kind, grateful. Like these are things that like I got to keep reminding myself, like, okay, Graham, like be grateful, dude. Quit, because I can be a hard charger and not really appreciate the wins. What are my workouts? What are my big three for the day? So, I mean, these are things that, that I try to do. And so that sets me up and then I get a workout in. And so that's kind of sets me up to be like, okay, cool. I feel, I'm feeling good. I got my chi going on. You know what I mean? Now let's go out, let's go down, let's meet with my team. Let's carry that energy over into the business.
Yes. I mean, when people like Jace say things like that, and I remember at first I was like, man, but what is all this mindset stuff? 80-20 mindset, dude. It's truth. Like there's science. It's true. What you think, the thoughts that come out of the thoughts that are in your mind is you're going to portray in the world. So the mindset is an absolute truth that if you're listening to this, you have to figure out it. Everyone has a different way. Routines from doing podcasts and reading. I'm sure Jayce, you can attest. Dude, a successful person, every badass, every person that's worth millions and what, they have some kind of morning routine. I don't care what it is. It might be drink coffee and do handstands. It might be this or that, but you got to do it.
Right.
Jayce, so tell us a little bit about like what your team looks like now as far as wholesale. I mean, I know it's Corona, so it's a little weird, but let's say like post-Corona regular times. And also I want to know what your team looks like in the mineral business. And let's start with like the wholesale. What is the team and like, what does that operation look like right now?
Cool. Yeah. So, pre-Corona, and then even like we're getting back to that now. Like Texas is open. I've got my team coming in. We're meeting in. We're going out in the field. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. I mean, it's working for us on the buy side. But I've got a lead manager on the front end. I handle all the marketing, kind of the marketing campaigns and all that as kind of that marketing kind of component. I kind of like that. It's where I get to kind of play creatively. The business, but I've got a lead manager that is phenomenal. He's out of the Philippines, so he's kind of making sure leads are coming in. He'll answer calls. Again, he's doing more order taking, if you will, not really negotiating anything over the phone. And then his big thing is like making sure that we're really tight when we push leads over into the CRM. Okay, so that we got clean leads coming in. Pre-Corona, I had 3 up to 5 outbound cold callers out of Mexico. Well, we use the same group, Power ISA. I think they do a great job. But we kind of looked at kind of the numbers behind that and saw maybe that, my acquisition guys weren't able to, close on those deals as much. So we kind of toned that down a little bit. But cold callers, outbound prospecting lead manager pushes leads over to an acquisition specialist. Okay. Right now I only have 1. So that's kind of where I need to improve and add. I think right now with what all's going on, I think we're going to be able to find some really good, talented folks that are just sales ninjas. Okay. So I've got 1 gal. She's ultimately in the morning, she's coming in, meeting with me and our lead manager. And we're doing a 30-minute huddle at 9:00. And then she's doing follow-up for about an hour inside the CRM. And then she's doing outbound prospecting on the $999. You and I both know we both, work with Tanner. So this is kind of a 2-10-40 model. And then in the afternoon, she's doing 2 appointments per day, 10 per week, 40 per month. And for about every 10 appointments, she should lock up 1 deal. That's kind of on the sales side. So we kind of break the business into sales and ops. Okay. On the ops side, I've got an operations manager And she's been with me since I started Rising Phoenix. She helps me also on the mineral and royalty side too. So she's kind of in this ops role. And below her, she's got a transactional coordinator that's in-house that kind of facilitates the closings, as well as communicating with buyers, with agents, with owner finance buyers, investors. So she's not doing a lot of outbound prospecting. She's not a sales girl, but she is answering calls live to the best of her ability as we're doing marketing systems to get our properties out. And then Beth our transactional coordinator, has an assistant who's in the Philippines, Fran. And Fran is kind of helping her, kind of doing all the clerical component of that TC role. She's, creating the flyer. She's uploading the MailChimp. She's sending the email. She's going on the website. She's posting on Craigslist. She's posting on Facebook Marketplace. She's doing all these things to kind of help Beth, who's our TC, ultimately get deals locked up and over the goal line.
Wow, no, that's an awesome team, and I love when you mentioned about the numbers, the 10 appointments, all this stuff. Like rewind what Jayce said, and that is the wholesale business. Like it really is, and it's so good. You get leads, you set appointments, and you them, and you lock deals, and then you sell them. So virtually now and stuff. I know we're both believers in person. It made it a little bit tough right now, but I still believe in the in-person stuff. I think virtual can be done as well. But Jayce has a really good understanding of what kind of some of the numbers work. And Jayce, what's kind of like the mineral business? I know you got your ops girl who she kind of transitions there too. Even for myself included, and someone listening to this who has no idea what we're even talking about, minerals and stuff. What's like a brief overview and like a elementary school like explanation about like what the mineral business is that you do is?
Because everyone kind of always asks me because just minerals and royalties. It's actually part of the real estate that when properties are sold. So people always kind of look at it. What is that? It's what they call part of the bundle of sticks, if you will, is the oil and gas, minerals and royalties that transact with real estate. So it's really real estate transaction that's occurring. It just so happens that the interests are below the surface. But just real quick overview on that. What we end up doing as a team, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what that team looks like. But what the strategy is, if you see back here this pump jack, basically that thing is going up and down 24/7, 365, even 66 days a year, pulling oil out of the ground. Okay. A mineral owner actually owns the minerals underneath that. A lot of time it's the same as the surface owner. So imagine in West Texas, maybe Farmer Brown owns 100 acres and he's got this guy on the back in his property kicking out oil. He gets a percentage of whatever comes out of the ground just because he owns the minerals in the land. Okay. The operator, in this case, let's say Exxonmobil, because everybody knows who they are, would get the lion's share of the production, but Farmer Brown gets, like 25% of everything that comes out of the ground. Okay. So let's say Farmer Brown's getting $1,000 a month, based on what that's producing. Okay. We're going out, we're contacting Farmer Brown and saying, hey, Farmer Brown, we can offer you $60,000 today. Basically a 60-month multiple of his monthly cash flow, and which is a 5-year payout. And so Farmer Brown's like, golly, $1,000 a month is nice, but $60,000 today is really nice. So sometimes he'll sell. So it's an all cash offer. It's
on the land, right? It's on what you transfer is a deed for his property.
Yeah, it's a mineral deed. It's an actual conveyance. Wow. It's at the county courthouse, just like a real estate transaction.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that's kind of what we built our business around, is going after and finding all the Farmer Browns out there that are receiving, royalty revenue and making them offers. And again, it's very similar to real estate and wholesaling, because you have to find a motivated seller. And what's the signs of a motivated seller? A life event. What type of life events? Death, divorce, job loss, tired, whatever. So very similar. As far as the way I look at it in the workflow. So I think that's how we were able to transition. So I would say seamlessly maybe into real estate wholesaling, not knowing anything until, really 2017.
Dude, that's interesting. And let me ask you this, why doesn't like ExxonMobil try to buy out Farmer Brown?
They're kind of more in the business of going out and leasing acreage from the Farmer Browns out there and developing it. They're not really in the business of buying the minerals. It's just another component that, and there are operators that are actively buying minerals under their land, but, it's not common.
Gotcha. So then you would go make the offer to Farmer Brown. Let's say you'd acquire that house for the land for the 60. And then what would you do with that once you got that for 60? What would you do next?
So that $1,000 a month is actually coming in now to the fund, all right, to the entity that bought the asset.
Got it.
So now it's generating a cash flow type asset that is now kicking off yield, which everybody is chasing yield, especially today with the stock market that just dropped. People want an investment that's generating 8, 9, 10%. And so these are the types of assets that will generate yield for an ongoing, basis that we turn around and we distribute to our investors, and they get, a return on their investment.
Wow, that's sick. I didn't know that's how it worked. Yeah, I know. And actually, I want to talk about. I remember we were in the car. We were in Texas, I think. We're in Texas.
No, we were up in. If it's the town I'm thinking about, when we were driving to the airport, we were up in
Indianapolis, maybe.
Yeah, we're up in Indy.
Yeah, we're up in Indy, and we're driving to the airport, and he gets a phone call. I'll let you take it away, but it was an interesting story. It was part of the oil and mineral business. I think it might be one of the biggest deals you might have been doing.
Yeah, it was one of the bigger ones. We've since done one bigger than that, but what it was a double close mineral deal.
Wow,
like a wholesale double close.
That's like a wholesale.
We had found a motivated seller, a gal out in Louisiana that wanted to sell her interest. We were able to negotiate a price with her, get it under contract, then found a larger private equity backed buyer that was buying in the same county, the same area, worked a price with them. So now I got both people locked up, and then we ran them through actually our title company, our real estate title company, on a double close, and pulled out a nice little double close fee, a wholesale fee. So we'll double close minerals as well, just like we do real estate. Transactions are a little bigger in nature. Like this was probably a $3.5 million transaction that was going down. But man, that was fun. I think we were in the car when we heard it funded.
Yeah, we're in the car there, and just so you guys know, I mean, it was upwards of six figures of that deal that he basically closed in the car from transacting. And the principle of the wholesale is the same, which is beautiful. Like it's such a cool story because, listen to that, man. He just found the motivated seller, and which is an art and a skill, by the way. I know that some people are like, oh, wholesaling. Some of the haters, I would say, think that wholesale is kind of like a market that has no value. Well, actually, the art of finding deals is a value, is a huge value, actually. So basically, Jayce used that value, and he freaking found a crazy mineral deal, sold it, made tons of money. And we're not saying this to brag or just to kind of like share memories here, but more to inspire. Like, if maybe real estate's not your thing, you're listening to this and real estate's not your thing, you don't know what to get into. I don't know at all how the mineral thing works, but the idea of the story is, dude, like you can find industries that you could just find the art of finding the deal, right? I mean, like, what would you say to the person listening that's like, okay, I get this wholesale thing, I get the real estate stuff, but like, what do I need to learn? Like, what kind of skills do I got to get? Like, what how do I get good at this stuff? Like, what's the secret sauce, if you will, for this industry, Jayce?
Yeah, no, I think sales, right? I mean, it's sales. Can you effectively communicate? We may all have different personality types. And so can you effectively communicate and get somebody open to the idea of working and transacting with you? So I think you need to have a good general understanding of just the nature of how sales works, right? As far as like, it can go across industries. I mean, you could wholesale cars, you could wholesale all kinds of different things, man. Land, just raw land, period. I mean, there's tons of applications. But again, finding value, you're the one that's going out, you're the originator, right? So you're going out and you're the one creating the value. And Ro, I know you're the same way. Like when we talk to the people that buy the homes from us, listen, bro, I'm no just like a little chump wholesaler. You know what I mean? Like, listen, here's how we do conduct business. We double close everything. We're not assigning. What do you mean you don't assign? Well, we assign everything. Well, we don't assign. So that's a business rule. And so we kind of carry ourselves that way. So we don't kind of get like, oh, they're just those wholesale guys. No, it's a different story. We're providing you a shitload of value, by the way. Otherwise, you should go do it. And the same thing on the middle front too, because these big private equity backed companies, man, they're not in the trench. They're not, on the triple line dialer. They're not sending out postcards. They're sitting back and they just want a nice, clean package that comes and lands right on their lap with a bow. Yep. So that's what we provide. And so I'm not embarrassed about it and how we communicate that to our buyers. I'm not rude, but I'm very, this is how we roll.
That's how we roll. And that's good, man. I think there's massive value to having strict standards to your business life, your personal life. And, Jay set that standard, like we're going to double close and everyone's going to have different little standards, and that's perfectly okay. Jayce, I mean, look, you're an interesting dude. You've been through a couple different things, and you've done some big deals, and you've done some crazy deals, both real estate and you've raised money, like all this stuff. What is maybe a lesson that's a hard lesson that's taken you a long time to learn when you look back at your life? What am I working on constantly for me as a leader for my team and is the empathy. I'm a hard driver. I'm very like a coach versus a cheerleader. And I think for me, and again, this is a work in process, right? So I'm still like I said, man, I put it in my daily journal just so that I'm mindful of it. But is to be cognizant, be aware of what's going on now, thanking people for, what they're doing, celebrating your wins and your victories is important as a leader and kind of breaking bread with your team, so to speak, on that front. So, I mean, that's something that I'm constantly kind of thinking about. God, I could have handled that better. Maybe I should have said this versus that. So, that's something that I definitely want to improve and continue to improve. Yeah.
So
it takes a lot of humility to like kind of admit stuff like that. Like, hey man, things that I can improve on, especially someone who's achieved in different industries and in different things. It takes a little bit to look at yourself like, man, I messed up there, or I'm not very good there. And I think that's what gets you really to the next level. When you can start admitting, I'm a lot younger than you, and I'm a ways away, but I think when you can start admitting like some of the stuff that you're maybe not so good at is when you really start hitting it hard, because then you're like, when you hire somebody, you know what to look for. When you go here, what you're not good at and stuff. I mean, what would you say to that? Like, has that really shifted like the way that you conduct business now? Like, all right, I'm not good at detailed stuff, so I'm not even going to touch that. Is that kind of like how you're operating nowadays?
Yeah, it is. And I've had to go. We've done some testing, and as a team and all that to kind of figure out, how are you hardwired? I think that's important to really kind of know that. You kind of know it, but it's really good to kind of see that, spend some time. We did some Colby testing, KOLBE testing, and what I found out is that I'm very high fast. Remember, I'm the guy who runs in the building. I'm like, so very low follow through. Okay, so if you want me to stay doing the same thing every day, kind of that cadence, that rhythm, ain't gonna happen. I mean, I'm high octane offense, bro. Air assault. So, I think it's understanding that. And what's kind of cool is when you really know that, is then finding people that complement you. Okay, on your team. You don't want a whole bunch of high D drivers like me on the same team. Everyone there'd be a fight every day. But it's kind of good understanding that, and then sitting down with your team and saying, hey, listen, I want to put you in the best, especially if they belong on the bus. I want to put you in the best position to succeed and be good at what you're doing, and put you in a role to where you can just go next level. And so with some folks on our team, we've had to move people around, and then I'm like, perfect. And they get that seat and it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I think it's important to kind of understand that and know what you're good at. And then your team to appreciate that and vice versa. I think that's very important to do that.
Oh yeah. 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 Like for instance, I mean, I have Lewis that works with me, and Lewis, he kind of runs a lot of the operations show and the detail. Cause I mean, I'm similar to Jayce, like I'm just not good with detail. I'm not the big, entering stuff on QuickBooks guy, or, those types of things, or just even crossing every I, crossing every T, dotting every I. It's just not me. Like I mess up almost every contract I do, no matter how hard I try. It's just, I don't know what it is. Like, and at this point, I'm just not going to fight it. That's not me. So Lewis is also a huge compliment, because that's his nature. He studied law or whatever. And so he's very studious. And I'm like understanding that from Jayce's point of view, like, dude, you could be good at a lot of things, but you could be bad at a ton of them. And Jayce has been able to hire people. And I think that you had mentioned to me the ops girl that you had that runs both businesses is like a big compliment for you, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, huge. Allison is phenomenal. She's been with me long enough now. Like she anticipates what I need. You see, really? So which is awesome. So, she's a player for life. With us, she's great. There's a great book, and I'm trying to pull it up. But
I was going to ask you, what are something like that?
It's a book called the Force Multiplier. Okay, and it talks about that role, that the founder and the Force Multiplier. That's it, and it's a great book to read, especially if you're like that visionary type that's not always like detailed. It's finding that, you can call it an executive assistant, you can call it, ops manager, whatever that may be. But she really, we have a brainstorm session and we come up with ideas, and then she just starts making shit happen. I think that's so important to have somebody like that on your team that can just kind of help you get through that. But that book really kind of dives into what that looks like and how it can literally take your company next level if you don't have to worry about some of that stuff that still needs to get done. It's still important. Dotting the I's, crossing the T's need to get done. But Raul, you're best suited to go out and just look for other opportunities, make deals happen, where you can have somebody on your team that kind of really help you dial that detailed stuff in.
That's awesome. Guys, definitely check out that book, The Force Multiplier. Also, there's one called Rocket Fuel. That's a visionary and integrator type book, and basically kind of similar to what we're talking about. So if you're kind of in that position, you're thinking of hiring somebody that's going to be an admin, or maybe some kind of you're looking to partner with somebody, definitely read a little bit, educate yourself on different personalities before you jump into a huge partnership. I'm sure, I've had some partnerships go sour. It's not even a bad thing. It's the nature of the beast. And I'm sure Jayce, he mentioned some family business that didn't go as well. So, and it's a painful experience, bro. I'm sure you could attest, because you had a, father and stuff. That's not easy. So to save you that pain, this is part of the reason I do this podcast. I bring people on like Jayce, Jayce is sharing experiences from many years of business so that you don't have to go through that pain of a sour partnership, because you guys are the same personality. It's just not good for business.
Right.
You guys can be friends, but it's just not good for business. Jayce, like question or two before we wrap this thing up here, man. Dude, I always feel like successful people and people who are high achievers, I feel like they always have some kind of chip on their shoulder, or they're like obsessed with things. Well, when I say those words, does anything come to mind? Any like weird little obsession or chip that you're like, man, this is it. Like I'm chasing this, or I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's a chip. I've always just kind of been one of those guys, whether it was in football or, back in high school, they just want to be like, kind of the underdog to some degree, but like, I want to, I'll prove you wrong kind of thing. And kind of, a little bullheaded to where it's like, I'll go do this. Fine. I'll go. I don't need to burn everything down. I'll just rebuild it and do it my, you know what I mean? So that's kind of always been in my DNA, so to speak. It's getting better now that I've got, now, and this is the cool thing about running your own business. No one tells you what the hell to do. Okay. Yeah. And so for me, kind of looking back, I really have a hard time with people telling me what the fuck to do. I really have a hard time with it. Even so much so, even on like our maybe mineral funds, where, I've gotten opportunities to do private equity funds, but I really didn't want some 28-year-old Harvard grad kid telling me what to do. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it my way. So I think that's the beauty and the fun part of running your business is like, I wake up every day and I'm like, what the hell are we going to do? This is awesome. You know what I mean? But I also wake up every day like I got people that are counting on me to do my thing. And so I gotta perform. I gotta step up and do my role. So I don't know if it's a chip, but it definitely, I'm definitely one of those that's just like forge ahead. I'll show you kind of thing. But yeah. I think it comes from a good spot.
Yeah, I think it comes from a good spot. It's you're not like trying to, world domination to like communism or something great. But yeah, I love that because there's like Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone, and there's a lot of people talk about like obsession or like Bill Gates and these very interesting billionaire type people that they had like almost like autism towards a certain thing, And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying actually I think it's awesome that some people could be so laser focused and they have this obsession about doing this. And I think everyone, successful or not, everyone has that in them for the better. You just it's your job to discover it. And, hanging around people that are discovering theirs helps you, like speaking with Jayce speaking with other people and Kent and the mastermind and really talking to these guys. You could tell a lot of these guys have some kind of obsession. It's either, to have a huge net worth or to, whatever it might be, to leave a legacy or family or to build a bad marketing company or this or that. And that shit, it's fuel, man. It's fuel.
Yeah.
Jayce, that's kind of like big question. We'll wrap this thing up here. Cool. When I say $100 million, man, where does your mind go? How do you get to 100 million? I'm not saying you want to get there, but I'm just to get the wheels turning. What do you think about 100 million?
I mean, we're charging, man. We're charging. I mean, we're stacking assets under management right now on the mineral front.
For the minerals?
So we're, I've got investors and all that, but we've got 100 million as far as assets under management, which again, it's not all my money, so to speak, but here in the next few years, just by what we're doing slowly every 10, doing 20 million capital raise every year. 100 million it's attainable. Yeah. With the real estate stuff that we're rolling out, we've got the seller finance stuff going. I think we can do that in multiple markets, the minerals piece. So I kind of like that we got a couple of unique strategies that if one really isn't working because the market sucks, we got another one to kind of look at.
Yeah, that's good.
But for me, it's not, to me, it's not necessarily like what's the big number. I kind of just want to just have it to where we got nice cash flowing assets where I can just like chill out and not have to do a damn thing. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have to be some big number, but just a nice little place in the country, cool, lap pool and get the kids out there playing. It's that's all you need.
The most thing about like starting like your own journey, or even if you're working with somebody, your life is your journey. Like that's so attainable. I mean, Jayce, like, dude, like it's just so attainable. You know what I'm saying? Like it's scary to think about how good we can be and how not easy, but how simple it is to get those types of things. But the hard work that goes into it, but it is very and absolutely attainable. I love what Jayce said there. Jayce, and if you were to like lose everything, you got nothing, but you know what you know, what would you do nowadays to like get a deal, to get a real estate deal or let's talk about like real estate. Like what would you do to get a wholesale deal? You have like $500 in your pocket and you're like, all right, I got to get a deal to pay bills and stuff. What like tactical thing would you do?
I've got kind of a background in running title and land. So, drop me into any town. I go straight to the courthouse, right? I'll start pulling the deed records and start looking at transactions that occurred. Kent, I think, did a great job with what he's doing with Real Estate Worldwide Smart, where there was a conveyance deed without a deed of trust. That was a cash transaction, okay? So I would say that's an investor, write his name down. And then I would just go right out into some of the areas that I saw some of those transactions occurring. Again, all this you can do on the internet now. And I just start driving them down and getting out of the car and talking to people. If I just had a couple $100 and just, again, trying to get that person under contract, how I can help, being confident, walk up with, some confidence on like, hey, I think I want to buy your house. But like coming in like, hey, I'm here. I'm an investor. I'm trying to buy houses, even if I don't have, two nickels to shine together. And then ultimately knowing kind of how I'm going to dispo them after kind of doing a little reconnaissance. So you don't need a lot of money to get started in this. We did some direct mail. It paid off. But, I know guys that are locking up deals, just driving around and just having conversations with people, man. Yeah, what's cool, let me throw this out because I tell our team this, is that when you're driving for dollars, everybody knows about driving for dollars. That's cool. What's really cool is if you get out of the house and start knocking on the houses next door to the property that's kind of boarded up, you'll get a lot of information. And oh, by the way, there's a reason why you're there now. You see, it's not awkward. You're not like, hey, I want to buy your house. Be like, hey, what the hell's going on with that house over there? Looks like shit. I want to buy it, fix it up so it doesn't look like shit. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. Let me give you their number. But they also say, oh, by the way, do you know other people that are selling houses? And you're just having this conversation. Things happen. So again, it's being proactive in your approach versus reactive. Being like, hey, I tried driving for dollars, it didn't work. Get out of the car, knock on the door. Right now, stay 6 feet away. Wear the mask. That's all cool. But at least you're doing something proactively. At the end of the day, say, man, I did everything I could. Right? I played offense, bro, and things will happen. I promise you. If you put in the energy, stuff will come out. And put in the effort.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I never heard of door knocking that way. How he mentioned it. Basically, you see the house that's boarded up. Dude, go to the neighbors, man, and just say, hey, that house that's next to you, I'm interested in buying it. Do you know who lives there? Do you know what's going on? And it's like, it's the easiest conversation you could possibly have, door knocking. Like,
they love you being there. They want you to buy that house.
You're not bothering them. You have a great excuse to be there. You're offering value to them and the neighborhood. And at the same time, before you walk away, be like, oh, hey, by the way, you don't happen to know anybody else, do you?
Yeah, here's my card. We have a $500 referral if you have anybody that we close on. And you have that on the card. You just put that on the business card.
Beautiful. And if you don't have a business card, dude, a piece of paper will do. Don't worry about that. But Jace, man, I appreciate you so much for being on and taking the time. Dude, Jace, how can people follow you or reach out or learn more about your companies and kind of what you're doing? How can people find you?
Yeah, no, man. I mean, you can reach out to me via email, Jayce, Jace, at Rising Phoenix, Phoenix. On our mineral fund front, I mean, if you just want to see what we're doing, Rising Fund 4, that's number 4.com. I'm on Instagram, Jayce_Graham. I don't really know how to Facebook. I'm still trying to figure out how to upload my MySpace song. But I do kind of, dabble in that stuff. But yeah, man, shoot me an email, reach out. Happy to chat with anybody on their journey and how, maybe provide some insight. And of course, man, I'm always learning too. So.
And mainly the real estate, you are doing wholesale in which markets?
Dallas, Fort Worth right now.
Dallas, Fort Worth. So if you're listening to this and you're in Dallas, Fort Worth and you got deals or you got sellers, you got buyers, definitely reach out to Jace and their team and they'll help you out. But yeah, he's a really good dude, guys. Definitely follow him. Check out the stuff. If you want to learn about the oil mineral stuff, go on his websites there and you can check him out. And guys, this has been a fun episode. If you're watching this or if you're listening to this on iTunes, feel free to watch the video on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Raul Bolufe, on the website, raulbolufe.com. But dude, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. We got to catch up after this, man.
Yes, for sure. We may have to come to Miami again.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode.